This is not clickbait. Gem Mint is quitting the Hot 10. We will get into it this video, but we got to talk about the hottest comic books in the world, and Gem Mint, for the last time, start them off at number 10.
Well, I am pissed off, but we'll get to that towards the end of the video. Number 10 on the list is Daredevil issue 16, and we haven't spoken about this book since last year with the passing of John Romita. This is a classic cover featuring Daredevil and Spidey with that photorealistic background.
Spider-Man is on the cover, and this is the first time John Romita Sr. drew him at Marvel, and he's known for drawing Spider-Man. That has to be the reason why this book is spiking. It's got to be because of the love for the comic book, the cover, and the moment in comic history that this key collectible is. Not because it's the first appearance of the Masked Marauder, comically bad villain, like many of the early Daredevil villains, who has a problem with the color purple, literally. Like, what's up with that? And he wears a tissue on his face for a mask. Like, this guy is terribly bad. And there's no new news about Daredevil Born Again. I checked, Gem.
And we've talked about this before. Like, what are the books that collectors are picking up between hype? I mean, we do have Daredevil Born Again coming out soon, but this seems more of a book that collectors are getting for their personal collection. The 5.5 had a year-high sale of $300. That's 35% above average. The 6.0 is up 22%. The 7.0 had a year-high sale, $415, 27% above. And the 7.5, just a little bit more, $430 for a 3% increase.
And to prove your point, Gem, why else would someone buy a 9.0 and set the record? Last set, just this past April, selling for $963, now up 31%, setting the record at an all-new high of $1,260.
Number 9 on the list are one of the hot books we're seeing due to Captain America: Brave New World. So if you want to know all the key issues associated with that movie, you got to check out Key Collector.
Utilize code Tom101. It's going to unlock a free 2-week subscription of an app that is like 98% free for you to enjoy. But that code will introduce you to the app in its entirety, and it's going to help you on the hunt. It's going to keep you up on the marketplace. It's an app I use every single day. I use it more than Instagram. I use it more than YouTube. And you can use it too to stay savvy on the rapidly moving marketplace. And you can support the show while you're at it. Number 9 on the list is Incredible Hulk 256, the first appearance of Sabra.
This book first popped off in week 30 in 2024 when we knew the character was going to be introduced into the movie, and then it totally died. We haven't seen or heard anything of it until recently when we saw the character in the trailer and got more information on her backstory.
They're changing her narrative so that she's going to be part of the Black Widow Ops group. She's going to be a Black Widow. That's pretty cool. This book hit $1,000 heights when it was first announced that she was going to be incorporated into the movie, and since then, the movie has been critically panned as far as the pre-screenings go, which has given this book some of the worst track record of any key comics that have made the Hot 10 in the last year and a half. However, now that the book is more affordable and the trailer looks decent, and after San Diego Comic-Con, it makes sense why people are throwing money down now. The 9.4 just sold for the highest amount it has all year long post San Diego, selling for $98, an increase of 32%. Much like the 9.6 that also clocked in its year high sale, selling for $135 for an increase of 15%. The 9.8 sold for $350, an increase of 16%. This book sold for $1,050 back in January 2023 when it was first announced to be a major character featured in this movie.
The CGC 7.5 saw its first recorded sale coming in at $52, and then the 8.0 saw a record-breaking sale. It last sold for $55 back in 2022. It's up 36%. It just sold for $75.
If Sabra's making the Hot 10, I expect to see other key books associated with this movie to start spiking as long as the marketing stays strong, much like it's been over the last couple weeks. We have Isaiah Bradley, the original Black Captain America who first appeared in Truth, Red, White, and Black #1. The Leader, who was last seen in Incredible Hulk, the film from 2008. That first appearance is in Tales to Astonish 62. And then last but not least, we have Sidewinder, who is going to be portrayed by Giancarlo Esposito, the mystery character finally revealed at San Diego Comic-Con, whose first appearance is Marvel 2-in-1 issue number 64. So, Gem, all the people who bought X-Force are probably feeling a little let down, but good thing that that's a pretty affordable book, right? I mean, I hope you got it with the Deadpool card at least.
Yeah, the leaks were wrong about George Washington Bridge, but I was right about number 8 on the list. We have Deadpool Merc with a Mouth issue 7, the first appearance of Lady Deadpool, and spoiler alert for Deadpool and Wolverine, she was played by Blake Lively.
Dude, Taylor Swift wasn't even in this movie at all, man. And Lady Deadpool was in it for like 4 minutes, and she said a couple lines, and they never took the mask off.
Not even a Taylor Swift song or not. I mean, we got NSYNC in the intro, man. What's up with that?
The 8.5 broke records, last selling for $97, up 39%, selling for $135 for the first time in comic history. The 9.2 sold for $140 back in 2022, up 29%, now selling for $180. Shout out Logan. And the 9.6 last sold in July for $293, now up 2%, selling for the first time in comic history for $300.
Now, I'm not going to be doing the Hot 10 anymore, but I'm going to keep watching to see when these uncanny X-Men 130s start to make the list because everybody's getting rid of them. But what's interesting about the Lady Deadpool book and some other books on this list, it's a testament to how well received Deadpool and Wolverine was, because number 7 on the list is Deadpool. Circle Chase 1 after the movie is already out.
First solo limited series featuring Deadpool, and a perfect situation of people went and saw the movie, they came out of it, saw New Mutants 98, said that's too expensive, and they want a Deadpool 1, damn it, and they are buying a lot of them.
Yeah, 9.4 went for $80. That's 8% above average. The 9.6 went for $100. That's 19% up. The newsstand 9.6 is up 9%. The 9.8 sold for $220, which is a 42% increase, but 6 copies outperformed the 12-month average. And then we have the newsstand 9.8, which sold for $570. That's a 32% increase.
The newsstand 8.0 broke records, last selling in 2021 for $45, up 31%, selling for $59. And the Newsy 9.0 last sold in July for $60. That's up 25%, now selling for $75. Let's keep it rolling because at the list at number 6, courtesy of San Diego Comic-Con, and probably because of Harrison Ford hulking out on stage, who's going to be portraying Thunderbolt Ross as the Red Hulk, we have Hulk number 1, the first appearance of the Red Hulk on cover.
Now, you wouldn't have really needed Key Collector to know that this book was on fire because of Captain America Brave New World, and they needed to include that. The movie was looking so boring without it, so I hope they have as much Red Hulk in this movie as possible.
I'm not going to get into the low-grade sales or the variants. Peep Key Collector for those, but this right here shows how many people are buying this book after the announcements. The movie's hype, 9.2, 3 copies outsold the 12-month average, the highest being for $125. That's an increase of 30%. The 9.4, 4 copies outsold the 12-month average, and the highest was a year-high sale, selling for $161. That's 50% over its 12-month average. The 9.6 sold for $160. 8 copies outsold the 12-month average this week, and the highest was a 20% increase. The 9.8, 11 copies outsold the 12-month average, the highest being for $383 for an increase of $46. The heights this book reached was $750 and a 9.8. It's selling for about half of what it's gone for in the past. The hype is real, but the books are seemingly more affordable than you would expect. That's courtesy of the census count, probably, because the 9.8, since we chatted about this book just last week, has an increase of 11 copies added to the census.
Now, my thing about this book is, and please, geek responsibly, don't be the guy breaking the records, but even after the movie comes and goes, it's still cool to have a first appearance of Red Hulk. Just like this next book on the list, we have Wolverine 88 coming in at number 5. It's the first battle between Wolverine and Deadpool, and I'm guessing it made the list because they portrayed this so well in the movie.
This is officially now a historic battle between 2 pop culture icons. You could have made that argument before Deadpool Wolverine, but now it is no contest. This is a major key book, especially with how great the movie was. And take a look at this 1 in 25 variant, perfectly timed to come out just last week, the week of Deadpool Wolverine, where they reverse the characters on the cover, and instead of Deadpool holding Wolverine up, we have Wolverine holding up Deadpool.
I'm actually a sucker for that, and I'm pretty sure that's how it went down in the movie too. The scene of Wolverine holding up Deadpool within his claws. Very cool. The deluxe edition sees 199 more slabs on the census since we talked about this on May 6th. I can't believe it's almost been 3 months since this book has made the Hot 10. The deluxe edition CGC 8.5 selling for $100 puts it 6% above average. The 9.4 is up 38%. 5 9.6s outperformed its 12-month average, with the highest coming in at $225. And the 9.8 deluxe edition sold for $410 for a 2% increase.
I have a huge announcement for the members who support the show directly. We send you comics every month if you go to ComicTom101.com and join the mystery mail call. And if you've been following the channel at all, or me on Instagram, you would know that we're hooking up every single member with an homage to Wolverine 1, first appearance of Patch, with a Kale new Big Time Collectibles exclusive. But that's not all. Just announced this week, I teamed up with Trinity Comics, and we are guaranteeing every single member a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, our first Adi Granov cover, 1 per box on X-Men #1. The book is currently selling for more than the box costs.
Some of my favorite artists are comic book painters, and Adi Granov is definitely one of them. He also designed the armor for Iron Man for the first movie.
Join the community, support what we do. Go to ComicTom101.com. I want to send you this book. You're going to love it in person. While we chat about number 4 on the list, because people be overpaying for comics. In fact, stay tuned, because this isn't the only book people paid way too much money on this week.
And number 4 is Star Wars issue number 1, the first appearance of almost everybody from that universe. And we tend to see this book hit the list in between movies and shows. It's almost like collectors are thinking maybe the next thing will be good.
Maybe the investors and the collectors know that the best time to buy Star Wars books are in between the shows, especially in a down market. The 6.0 is up 4%. Same with the 7.0. The 7.5 is up 10%. The 8.5, 23%. 9.0, 8%. The 9.2 is up 45%, selling for $581. Are you hearing all these sales? What's going on, Jem? The 9.4 is up 21%, selling for $625. The 9.6 is up 41%, selling for $1290. These sales are so close to the 12-month average. I mean, even the 9.6, yeah, 41% up is quite a bit, but that's like a couple $100. If someone's interested in a Star Wars 1, they're hemming and hawing over a couple $100. It doesn't feel like a risky investment. However, the 9.8, what the hell, dude?
Somebody definitely overpaid for the 9.8. It better have been the cleanest looking copy of Star Wars 1 because the 12-month average is $3,500. The last GPA sale was $3,200. There are 21 more 9.8s on the census since we talked about this book last, which was just 3 weeks ago. 123 slabs more in total. But the high sale from this week was $4,299. That's a 22% increase over its 12-month average.
Someone paid over $1,000 more than they should have for this comic book. That's why you got to hit the subscribe button. We're going to steer you right. Also worth mentioning that over at Marvel Comics, the Star Wars run, which kind of started in 2019, has been focusing on lore, a time gap between 1980's Empire Strikes Back and 1983's Return of the Jedi. We are now seeing an upcoming series that will take place post Return of the Jedi and post the death of Anakin. So more Star Wars lore coming. That's really exciting, but I don't think that's why people are buying Star Wars 1 right now. I think the book is just too damn cheap.
Yeah, The Acolyte has been finished for a few weeks now. The next show is The Skeleton Crew, which just has a 2024 release, so nothing solidified yet, but expected sometimes this year. Like we said, we're in between Star Wars right now.
At the list at number 3, this next book has landed on the Hot 10 23 different times in the last 7 months. And for the last time, Jem, I would like you to report on it.
And thankfully, the last time I'm going to have to introduce Wolverine 1 to the list. And once again, somebody overpaid. We have a CGC 7.0 newsstand. It sold for $100. That's right about average. The direct market 8.0 is up 21%. 4 8.5s outperformed the 12-month average, with the highest being at $150. That's a 32% increase. The CGC 9.2 saw a sale of $312. The 9.4 is up 5%. The 9.6 is up 8%. And the 9.8, somebody paid $960 for this book, which is a year-high sale. It's 48% above its 12-month average, and the last GPA sale was $560.
People are overpaying for this book, and I told you that this could be a sub $500 book, especially because of the census count. There have been 15 new books added to the census in the last week, on top of hundreds that have been added over the last couple months.
Now, you might not have to put up with me anymore, but you might still see this book make the list multiple times because there is a CGC private signing with Frank Miller, and there is a ton of time to submit. October 20th is the deadline, and you could get a remark from Frank Miller, which are remarks by Frank Miller.
They are indeed remarks by Frank Miller. And now we can finally get to number 2 on the list because we have a very cool back issue making it. Incredible Hulk, issue number 180. The first cameo appearance of Wolverine, the first time we see Wolverine in the pages of a comic book. And clearly, the hype is real for Deadpool Wolverine over at San Diego Comic-Con. Jeff was going through, the Golden Age Guru, multiple Hulk 181s. Every time he put one on the wall, it would sell. I think he sold over 5 of them.
Yeah, so since you mentioned that, we have Hulk 181s on fire as well. The 3.0 is up 7%, the 7.5 going for $4,500, that's up 3%, and the 9.2 is up 6%, but that's not why we're here. The first time we ever get him in the comic is on fire as well.
Indeed, Jem, we're talking about Hulk 180. The 5.5 sold for $850. That's a year-high sale. That's an increase of 56% when you compare it to the recent 12-month average. The 6.5 can't even keep up. It sold for $100 less. going for $750. That was also a year high sale at that grade, an increase of 17%. The 9.4 sold for $3,125. That's 5% over its 12-month average. And that also was a year high sale. And last but not least, we have the 9.6, where I will remind you, back in 2021, this book sold for $12,000. Well, this past week, for an increase of 2%, that book sold for $55.20.
Now, one of the big unanswered questions from the MCU is, what is the deal with that dead Celestial in the middle of the ocean? And they answered that at San Diego Comic-Con this weekend, and apparently it's made out of adamantium. So mutants are in the MCU, adamantium is ripe for the picking, and we also got a ton of Wolverine variants in Deadpool and Wolverine. Spoiler alert.
We got a comic-accurate short Wolverine, Henry Cavill as Wolverine, Patch, tan and brown Wolverine, Age of Apocalypse Wolverine, Old Man Logan, and of course the classic Mark Silvestri, Crucified Wolverine. And by the way, you can also pre-order my Miko Suwayan homage to X-Men 251. That was perfectly timed, Jem. Go to ComicTom101.store.
Now, seeing all these books make the list after the movie is just a testament to how successful it was. I mean, do we really think we would still see these here if the movie didn't do well? Including number 1 on the list, the hottest comic book in the world right now is New Mutants 98, the first appearance of Deadpool.
And people are overpaying. Let's just jump right into the numbers because no one was listening to me, and I hope some of you may have saved some money with our coverage. We have so many sales that we could report on. Peep Key Collector for all of them. We're going to start you off with the 9.2, selling for $400, an increase of 8%, and 3 copies outsold that 12-month average. The 9.4, 3 copies outsold the 12-month average, the highest being an increase of 14%, selling for $475. The 9.6 sold for $570, and 4 copies outsold the 12-month average for an increase of 9%.
There were also 4 copies of the newsstand 9.6 that broke that 12-month average, the highest coming in at $773 for an increase of 9%. And the CGC 9.8, somebody paid $1,500. Why are you doing that? That's a 14% increase. If you would have just waited, you might have gotten it for what the last person bought it for. The last GPA sale was $1,025.
Do you remember when I said repeatedly that this could be a sub-$1,000 book? I am $25 away from being right. I appreciate your time today, comic fam. Jem Min is quitting. Are you upset with me, Jem? What's going on?
Not at all, Tom. Like I said over on my channel, I consider you one of my best friends. I've had a blast doing this video. Super proud of it. Got a lot going on my end over here, and I just need to step away and kind of reboot, refresh, and start volume 2 of Jem Min Collectibles. So I'm going to miss all you guys. I'm still going to be checking in. I'm going to make sure you're not overpaying for these books, so don't let me down.
4 years, man, and I've loved every second of it. I'm filled with gratitude. You helped make this video what it is. We started this during the start of COVID and the comic boom, and I've been told by multiple people just at San Diego Comic-Con, I've seen it in the comment section of your videos throughout all the announcements, that a lot of people wouldn't even know my channel had it not been for your participation in the Hot 10. And I thank you, man. You're a good friend, and I'm excited to have you back. I'm sure you'll visit us.
I'm not going to be a stranger, but for the last time on the Hot 10, as always, geek responsibly, stay minty fresh, and enough said.